The Lewis County General Service Committee is called to order. Now the clerk of the board will proceed with a roll call.
Legislator Leviker,
Here.
Legislator Osborne,
Here.
Legislator Nortz has been excused, Legislator Nellenbach,
Here.
and Legislator Hanno is absent, and Legislator Dahlhoff. We do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. I move to approve the committee minutes from November 18th, 2025. Can I get a second?
Second.
It has been moved and second that the committee minutes from November 18th of 2025 be approved. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, no.
Aye.
The motion is adopted. We have two presentations for today. The first presentation on today's agenda is building automation. I ask presenter Matt O'Connor, Buildings and Ground Supervisor, come to the podium.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Everything.
I'm loading up.
So we're going to be talking a little bit about and showing you what we can do with our computer system. We have two separate systems for control companies. One is Trane and the other is Siemens. We've had those two for quite some time, and the bulk of it will be with Siemens when the new building project went in. Siemens basically got the contract instead of Trane. Otherwise, we would have mostly Trane. Each control package varies from building to building. As far as what we can do with it, we've recently added, Mountain View and DMV, which have more basic controls. But here at the courthouse and DSS and stuff like that, we have a much more robust system there. So we work closely with each one of our providers. That we have a mechanic and a controls mechanic that come here and help us out with a lot of different things. If we have issues, mainly on the computer side, the programming side, and things like that. So each company also has a backup system to this. So if our for some reason system goes down, they can get it rebooted and get it back up for us. In a period of time. So this particular, this is the Siemens setup right now. So we are looking at, this is the new DSS building. So if you can see, you have all the temperatures are all around, all the way around the building. The 4 different colors that you see up there are, those are what each air handler serves. So we know the areas that can be, each one serves, so we can investigate if we see something going wrong. Cody this is Cody Peters, our HVAC tech. He does probably 90% of this stuff with us. He's been with us for a couple of years now, and we've taken different trainings and stuff, and he's on the computer every single day. Even on the weekends, he will chime in and go through the building so we can get ahead of any issues that we have. We also get alerts basically 24/7. Matter of fact, the last Saturday during the power outage, we had one of our control modules here go bad, and we both got 740 alerts in 3.5 hours. So, and we know it works. So, go to the boilers, Cody, if you could. So we have two boilers at condensing boilers up to DSS, and we have several of these the same brand throughout the county. So this tells us our water supply temp, return temp. We can change a lot of things. We can swap from boiler to boiler if we need to, because one is lead, one is lag, and We can also see the pumps moving, which is right there in the middle of the screen where this mouse is. It will tell us which one is running. So there's a lot of different information on this, on the boards that we get, and that comes from Siemens. Our controls guy from Siemens, he starts putting a lot of stuff on there so we can see it without having to look too awful far into the system for it. So hit one of the RTUs. So here, this is RTU1, and that serves the bulk of the area at DSS. So we can see what our discharge air temperature is, what our return air temp, fan speed, duct pressure, which duct pressure is pretty significant because if I'll make sure all the dampers are working correctly, because we've had them get almost too high, and then the building starts to get overpressurized, and then the doors don't want to shut. So and it's really a balance between overpressurization and to be the correct pressure, so we don't, because you want air to be moving out, you don't want it to be moving in, because then that's a negative pressure, and that'll start bringing water in, air in, and that'll just mess a lot of things up for us. So we can look at exhaust fans, turn those on and off, which and we can control the speed of them as well. So if we need to ramp them up a little bit, we can. So the Cody, jump back out and hit a VAV. So this tells us what each one of the diffusers above the, like there's two of them right above your heads here. So that tells us what the air temperature is that comes out of them. We can lower that and raise that. And we can also tell the temperature of what we're actually displaying. So. Okay, Cody, let's jump into train. We'll look at this building. So as you can see, the bulk of the room temps are, 72 to 74 degrees. And I see Jones' office is 75, 72.5, but the waiting room is 75. So, this is probably one of the most difficult buildings for us to control, because what happens is works on a voting system. So if you see to the left and to the right where RTU3 and RTU4 are, all those room numbers, the 201, 202, 203, on down through, each one of those rooms gets a vote. And if you get 4 people or more saying, I want some heat, and there's 6 people saying that I want cooling, everybody's getting cooling, because we can't, it's a changeover bypass system, and we cannot separate. It's all or nothing. So that is one of the bad things about the heating system in this building, and it's very difficult for us to control, which is, partially why we want to try to move forward with the HVAC upgrade in the future here. So jump stateside, Cody. So stateside's a little bit different. They have a VAV reheat system. So they have the boilers running and the air system running out of the RTU 1 and 2. We can swap between heating and cooling over there, because we have, we have hot water running to each VAV. So that opens a valve if they need each more room by room control. It'll open a valve up and then allow that to heat that space up without taking the entire building heating or cooling. So it's much more efficient over there.
Is that because it's a newer building too?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. And it's going to be very evasive. I've told Tim about this, that it'll be very invasive if and when we choose to do this upgrade, but it's kind of the necessary evil, to make this building function be more flexible. So, okay, Cody, let's go back to the PSB. And we'll look at the freezer temp. So you see the freezer temp highlighted in red on the right-hand side. We just recently got that put up here this summer to be monitored. So anytime that freezer goes over, like 25 degrees, we start getting alerts saying something's, and that sends an email out. So that's sending us stuff saying something's wrong, where we can get people in there to look at it. So any questions so far? So the one thing that we can do is we get a lot of generator run stops too off this. We can, like the courthouse generator, we have a lot of generators that tell us that when they run and when they test and when they stop. So we get alerts on that, and we also get alerts on the when they fail to start. So although it failed me last weekend when the generator did not start, but we got that corrected. So Cody can make adjustments right from his laptop, and then we can, so if he has to do stuff, whether he's in the room or if he is at home, or if he's looking one place, looking to another building, he can do that right from his laptop, or he can do it. Him and I both can do that from our desktops in our offices. So he was had some one page up there that was for Siemens building a trend. So if we see issues, then we can build a trend and monitor this particular issue to say if there's a specific time of day that this is going down, or the temperature spiking at certain times. We can get that information. We can create that for a short period of time or monitor it for weeks. And that really helps us clue it into what the issue is and where it's going, and, how to correct that. So, and it gives us a pretty good history on what the unit is doing. So, head over to JCC, Cody.
Floor plan, any unit?
Floor plan. So yeah, as you can see, JCC has got the same setup. We have a pretty robust system over there. The two larger rooms in the back, obviously, are the fab labs that don't need to be heated as much, but most of that building stays pretty good. So pull up the hot water. So again, here are the two boilers. We can tell when one is firing. It'll tell us alerts if it's failed to start. And we will get alerts on that through our emails. It gives us the, zone pumps and the, temperatures that we're supplying. So and this is a similar system to DSS, where we can change heating in the change heating controls and adjust rooms a little more efficiently. So this year we're adding more controls down to DMV. Why don't you pull up DMV? That takes a minute. So we have Mountain View and DMV on our train system as well. So we can, we're adding to the train system here this year. Actually, matter of fact, I think it's coming on Monday. We're going to be able to, get tied into the generator on this one. And these are very basic controls. And we're going to get more, we're going to be able to control the VAV diffusers and have more sensors in there, so we can narrow down any issues that we have. We'll be able to control the RTU with it, with the computer. The Board of Elections side is, relatively basic system. It's just monitoring. which is, seems to suit us well so far. So. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. We do have Cody signing in up to Mountain View right now. And once we get into there, we've got some limited controls, but they're, we are trying to build those every year. So there's 5 air handlers in that system, and you can see where the temperatures are on each side. So any questions on anything, that with AI coming, being more and more prevalent, they can interface that into these controls. Train is working on it right now. And we can have all sorts of communication through, right through our phones and through our email and alerts and different stuff that we can, it'll be very, probably be a little cumbersome at first until they get it all sorted out, but it'll be very nice when it's all said and done that we'll be able to have, much better control and much easier control. So if there are no questions, I guess
No questions from the group? Thank you, Matt.
Okay.
Our second presentation on today's agenda is the General Services Committee Goals by Tim Hunt.
Okay, this is more of a discussion than a presentation. This is to talk about the 2026 legislative goals, and I'll be doing one for each of. Can you shut that off for me, Connor? It's transcribing my voice. So we'll be doing one for each committee, and let me go through a little bit of the process and yeah. So some considerations, we will continue to focus on full-time employee equivalents. So when we're setting the goals, we want to kind of pay attention to that. We want to make sure we're not growing the workforce. Continued focus on the total amount of equipment that we're using at the county. Revenue will be relatively flat in 2026. So I guess that's my way of saying, let's be careful about what we spend here. So all goals are SMART goals. I have not put them out that way. I've put them out as just kind of simple bullets. Once we agree to what the goals are, we're going to type them all up with deadlines and action items. But we just wanted to kind of talk about them in more general terms. Some goals that were given to us were appropriate as department goals, but not necessarily legislative goals. We had asked all of the department heads to please submit what they thought were appropriate goals. Then we sent the survey out to all of you as legislators. We had 9 responses out of the 10. And the ones that were no's were often because they were really more a department goal than they were a legislative goal. So I took those out. And some of those, so I just kind of wanted to show how we got here. So the department heads have had input into this. We've also done a survey with all of you, and we've developed a list. Now, the first list is really 2025 goals that did not get completed. So we moved those forward to 2026. This one, the ones from 2025, identify the first steps and location for rails to trails plan with active public input and engagement. Did not happen, obviously, because the actual legal closure on the railroad didn't happen until late this year. Establish the legal steps to continue the strategies to maximize county and town highway infrastructure efficiencies. That was related to the road swaps, and we were dealing with a lot of legal complications, but we are going to try to take that on this year and get through that. Stabilization of the ambulance services. And as you know, we're in the midst of a study right now with a preliminary draft that's available, it will be available shortly. And then revamp the property maintenance and junkyard laws and streamline the process. So these were all carryovers from last year. Does everybody on the committee agree with those and agree we want to keep them on for 2026? Okay. Any thoughts? All right. So the new ones, achieve a 15% increase in property maintenance compliance in 12 months. That came from the codes department. That one could be a internal goal, could be a legislative goal. And I know that one was one of the more had yes and no votes. It was actually pretty mixed as to whether that should be a goal or not. But that really is about streamlining the whole process for code enforcement. So, any thoughts on that? No? Okay. Long-term waste management plan. That's working with KIPS to look at a 5-10-year plan for up there, both capital improvement, truck replacement, buildings, and what the revenue stream looks like going forward for 5 to 10 years so that we can have a long-term capital plan. A 5-year blueprint for off-highway trail connectivity. That's working with Jackie's department to start to have a long-term plan of what trails are priorities, what are we connecting and when, and what does the 5-year work plan look like. The Boak to Municipal Center, that is getting the building that we have swapped with over here. In June, we'll be taking possession of that, and we'll be starting to put together a plan to get the health department into that. Develop emergency action plans for all buildings. We're moving forward with that. That's something that's required by the Department of Labor, that we need to have one update, or we need to have updated plans for each of our buildings. And then a county-wide water sharing plan. And that was a request by one of our legislators. So I put that in there, and that is up for discussion. So that is what I have for 2026 goals for the General Services Committee.
Any questions or comments?
You want me to take that? Okay. So that was a request by legislator Hanno, our newest legislator. So I put it on the list. A number of years ago, the county hired an engineering firm to look at the feasibility of a countywide water system. That was met with pretty heavy resistance and opposition from the towns, and I think it was shelved. I think Mr. Hanno's asking that we, take a look at that again. I would strongly suggest if we take a look at it, that the first thing we do is get input from the towns and villages, whether that's something they're interested in doing. So that would be my action item on that. If we made that a SMART goal, that we don't move forward with that without first convening a conversation with the people who own and operate those systems, if that's even of interest. Is that a fair assessment of that? Okay. So, but I put it on there because he had asked that we look at that again. So, okay.
Any other questions? If not, thank you, Tim.
Okay. We're good with those. We
like
want those to be written up as SMART goals, and we'll get that out to you in an email with exact, that deadlines and timelines. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move into the draft resolutions and motions.
Okay, the first draft resolution number 1 is approving updates and revisions to the Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan in its appendices as proposed by the Director of Emergency Management Services to comply with state regulations and local needs.
I move that draft resolution number 1 be forwarded to the full board for action. Can I have a second? Mr. Nellenbach? It has been moved and seconded that draft resolution number 1 be forwarded to the full board for action. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The motion is adopted.
Draft resolution number 2, authorizing supplemental agreement number 2 for additional engineering services for PE design and construction support phases of the Marshy Road Bridge replacement project at an added cost of $397,000, bringing the total to $731,000.
Okay. I move that draft resolution number 2 be forwarded to the full board for action. Can I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Osborne. It has been moved and seconded that draft resolution number 2 be forwarded to the full board for action. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion is adopted.
Draft resolution number 3, authorizing Lewis County to accept real property acquired by New York State DOT for the Cotel Road Culvert Replacement Project and authorizing extension of agreements under contract number D041006.
I move that draft resolution number 3 be forwarded to the full board for action. Can I have a second? Mr. Osborne. It has been moved and seconded that draft resolution number 3 be forwarded to the full board for action. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion is adopted.
Draft resolution number 4, adopting the Lewis County Non-Motorized Winter Recreation Plan as an official planning document to guide future development, grant applications, and partnerships for non-motorized winter recreation activities.
I move that draft resolution number 4 be forwarded to the full board for action. Can I have a second? Jeff? It's been moved and seconded that draft resolution number 4 be forwarded to the full board for action. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion is adopted.
Draft resolution number 5, setting a public hearing on March 3rd, 2026 at 5:00 PM regarding the proposed addition of approximately 580 feet to the Lewis County OHV trail system on property owned by the Jeffrey G. Nellenbach Irrevocable Trust.
I move that draft resolution number 5 be forwarded to the full board for action. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Tom. It's been moved and seconded that draft resolution number 5 be forwarded to the full board for action. Is there any discussion?
You need to recuse yourself.
I'll recuse myself from this vote.
Shall Jeff recusing himself?
Yep.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
There's no quorum, so we're going to have to wait and perhaps move it to the board directly at the next meeting.
So any individual legislator can move this forward.
Yeah.
So one of you two guys want to move it to the full board.
Yeah, they can do that. We can have that ready for the packet for the board.
I would move it to the full board. Okay.
Draft resolution number 6 is introductory local law number 1-2026, permitting ATV OHV operation on a 2.1 mile segment of Byron's Corners Road in the town of West Turin to maintain trail connectivity and setting the public hearing on March 3rd, 2026 at 5:00 PM.
I move that draft resolution number 6 be forwarded to the full board for action. Can I have a second? Jeff? It's been moved and second that draft resolution number 6 be forwarded to the full board for action. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion is adopted.
Draft resolution number 7 is introductory local law number 2-2026, permitting ATV OHV operation on approximately 3.4 miles of Fish Creek Road in the towns of West Turin and Lewis to connect existing OHV trails and setting the public hearing on March 3rd, 2026 at 5:00 PM.
I'll move that draft resolution number 7 be forwarded to the full board for action. Can I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second that draft resolution number 7 be forwarded to the full board for action. Any discussion?
I have a question on that. Is there a reason that trail went down the full length of Fish Creek Road versus going over the Krieger Road, Dupert Road, and Beecher Road like it used to? Right, but that's right close to the Fish Creek Road. You only had to extend it down the Beecher Road half mile.
I don't have justification to get it to the end of Beecher Road to Fish Creek. You can only open roads to connect between trails and areas, so I would need a trail at the end of Beecher Road.
That doesn't make sense, but. Right, because it was only adding a little bit to it.
Yeah, but I don't,
Connector.
Right, but my land is.
you were on the corner of Beecher and Fish Creek?
No,
So,
so you extended it the full length on a busier road versus,
No access at all.
so in order to open a road, you need a area or a destination on both ends of it. And what Jackie is saying, that she doesn't have anything on the Beecher Road end to justify opening that road.
I don't
Because
have a
you don't
trail
have a
on Beecher to go
destination
to
on the
Fish
end.
Creek.
okay. But you, okay,
It's by state law.
so you needed something on the Beecher Road to open the Beecher Road, even though it was closer in keeping it off a main road.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Motion is adopted.
Draft resolution number 8, reappointing Brian Reap of Denmark, New York to the Lewis County Soil and Water Conservation District Board of Directors for a 3-year term effective February 4th, 2026 through December 31st, 2028.
I'll move that draft resolution number 8 be forwarded to the full board for action. Can I have a second? Tom? It's been moved and seconded by that draft resolution number 8 be forwarded to the full board for action. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion is adopted.
Draft resolution number 9, authorizing an interfund loan of $184,000 from the county's general fund to solid waste equipment fund for the purchase of a heavy-duty Class B road tractor. Solid waste will contribute $46,891.32 in 2026 and repay the loan in 4 annual installments of $46,000 starting in May 2027 per a memorandum of understanding with no interest and prepayment allowed.
I move that draft resolution number 9 be forwarded to the full board for action. Can I get a second? Jeff? It has been moved and second that draft resolution number 9 be forwarded to the full board for action. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion is adopted. There is no unfinished business for today. New business. Is there any new business to be brought up today? If not, we will move on. There will be no executive session. And with that, I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Second by Tom. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion is adopted. We're adjourned.
Legislator Calamus,
Here.
Legislator Frost,
Here.
Legislator Nortz has been excused, Legislator Hanno, Legislator Dahlhoff, and Legislator Leindecker.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Meeting minutes from November 18th. Do I have a second? Barry? Any discussion? If not, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion adopted. Presentations. We have two presentations. Temporary assistance, Jenny Jones, Social Services Commissioner, 10 minutes, and Human Services Committee Member Goals, Tim Hunt, 20 minutes. Jenny?
Got it right? Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. So I'm back here. A couple weeks ago, you probably read in the newspapers about the federal government freezing TANF funds to New York State and several other states across the country. So at that time, I thought it important to let you know what TANF funds in Lewis County and the impact that could be. Obviously, there's a stay right now as a lawsuit was filed by several states to not freeze the funding since it had already been allocated. But TANF is a large program, so I want to go through that. Is the clicker here? Oh, sorry, guys, sorry. All right, so I don't know if that's my first one. There we go. So temporary assistance for needy families. In Lewis County, that's about $2.4 million that comes in through TANF funding. What's interesting about TANF is its core purpose is to aid families in need so children can stay in their homes or with relatives, and dependence on government benefits, prevent and reduce out-of-wedlock pregnancies, and encourage the formation and maintenance of two-parent families. So we do give cash assistance, and I think that's what a lot of people think about when they think of TANF funds, so that someone would come in and apply for temporary assistance at DSS that has no money, and they would get cash. Now, we don't actually give them like $500 on a card. We give them money biweekly. Usually it comes with a SNAP benefit. Many times we do other things like pay the rent directly to the landlord, pay the utilities directly to National Grid or somebody else. I have on here childcare subsidies uncapped, not CCAP. That's not the child care assistance program. That's a whole different funding stream. What this child care subsidy is related to is if you're on temporary assistance, you have children, you get a job, I have to guarantee your child care payments. All right, so that's why I put uncapped. It's completely dependent on who walks through the door and what their needs are. And then we have triple FS, is what we call it in my world, triple FS, Flexible Funds for Family Services. That changed a few years ago to this big block grant, and we can move it around to help where we need it. We get $1.3 million for that, and that includes some employment and workforce supports, like our employment and training coordinators, they're at the department. We also use it for other things like parent education with our contract with Cornell Cooperative Extension. We use it to help with our foster care workers. We use it with our public assistance workers as well. Emergency crisis and support, we get about $100,000 in that annually. And that's for things like domestic violence services that we contract with Lewis County Opportunities to help us provide. TANF also funds foster care in a weird way, and I'll show you a slide later that why I say it's weird, but that's about $350,000 this year. So then we get, also would be frozen, is the social services block grant. Now that block grant has reduced to us in the last few years. It's down a couple $100,000, but the core purpose is to help us achieve or maintain economic self-support and reduce dependency on the system, promote self-sufficiency, prevent or remedy neglect, abuse, or exploitation of children and adults, and prevent unnecessary institutionalization. So under this, we have our preventive services that help children remain safe or reduce time in foster care. So we do have a preventive unit at DSS. They also provide foster care services, but the goal is to work with families to prevent them from us having to remove their children. So remediate it early. Protect services for children, protective services. So our CPS unit, of course, you know, that's 24/7, 365. We had, I don't know, a little over 400 and something reports to that last year from the child abuse and hotline. We also get a separate amount under the block grant for child welfare of $75,800. That block grant is nowhere near sufficient for us to pay for all the services that we provide our staff. We get a specific allotment for, we call it APDV, which is adult protective and support services, domestic violence, 43,101. And we use that in our adult protective unit. We also contract with Opportunities. So you'll see, and you'll hear me say a few times how we contract with different people to help us provide those services. Opportunity is one of the bigger ones that we contract with. So here's my fun slide. I hope you can understand that if you can figure out why our funding is so complicated. So why TANF hits foster care and it hits child prevention and it hits domestic violence and it hits diversion services and adult protective services. And it really depends on the category of which family we're working with. Did they have a parental deprivation? What income level are they? All these other factors go into us determining how we get our funding through the state and federal government. So it's complex. And many times when people ask me, well, how much is this? I usually say, well, it depends, because I have to go back to the very root cause of the specific family. But all of this ends up getting affected. This is a separate one, the child care block grant. That's different than the other one that I had to guarantee. We do get $775,188 in the child care assistance program, and that's for low-income subsidies for families. So we pay places like Hand in Hand, our licensed daycare agency. We pay legally exempt providers, group family daycare, all those kind of things. I did see in the governor's new budget coming out, she is hoping to, I think it was another $1 billion maybe for childcare. Right now we have a wait list of at least 20 families waiting for that because we have to stay within that block grant amount. We have no more money for that. I do consider that really a workforce development service, right? People going to work. So this whole thing started when the federal government indicated there was massive fraud, waste, and abuse within the TANF systems. And, the president cited Minnesota with a daycare issue. And I'm here to tell you, yes, there's actually fraud. Our job is to investigate it, find it, and prosecute it, right? I don't do prosecution, the DA's office does. But here's a bit of our systems, if you think this is crazy. We have a lot front-end detection system, feds. That means our fraud investigators look at the applications coming in. Does it make sense? What's missing? Do they know something from, reading Google or the news? We use eligibility verification reviews. We have lots of tools. And I know I put a lot of acronyms in there, but we have the initial interview. CLEAR is a program we use that kind of gives us address matching, maybe potential income, old phone numbers, things like that. DMV is, yes, the Department of Motor Vehicles. We can match to that for vehicle registration. UIB, unemployment insurance. EBT Edge is our electronic benefit transfer. So we can look at files where people are using their benefits. And I will tell you that's come in handy for people that are missing, sometimes with law enforcement, or are they actually living in our state, right? Are they someplace else using those benefits? We check with collateral contacts, like sometimes it's parents, relatives, other people living in the home. Childcare requires a very specific random review, EVR. It's just eligibility verification review. We have validation reports. We have a recipient fraud matching system that helps us from state to state. PARIS, Match for Medicaid. PARIS, I can't even remember what it actually stands for. Public Assistance Reporting Information System. It's so we can catch people that are incarcerated and not pay benefits on their behalf. So we keep up on that PARIS match, and our jails and prisons do put information in there. Syntrack is another way. We've used Syntrack for a long time. That helps us find through the work reports. We have a phone number we call it Talks, gives us information about like new hire lists and things like that on a lot of different companies. A county conflict report comes out when we're looking for people that have maybe applied for anything in 2 different counties, right? We don't want to be paying double. So we try to find out which county is the district of fiscal responsibility, and the EDRS, which is our electronic disqualified recipient system. So I'll give you a good example. Someone moves here from another state and 3 months ago. So what we're doing is looking in there to see if they got disqualified for a certain period of time in that state, because things like SNAP and temporary assistance are federal. So if they're disqualified in one state, they're disqualified in our state. So for fraud, our fraud unit had 320 fraud referrals received in 2025. We found $140,000 or so in overpayments. 90,000 we were able to recover. 8 cases were referred to the DA for intentional program violations. Intentional program violations are important. It means people can't apply. They're sanctioned. They cannot apply for assistance for a certain period of time based on the fact we found them intentionally frauding us. Now, overpayments can also happen because someone reported something too late in the month for us to take action. We still have a very archaic system in our background. So if they don't report it like near the beginning of the month, sometimes we can't adjust the payment, and that's considered an overpayment. Many times for overpayments, we can do things like we reduce the next benefit for the next month or the next several months in order to recapture that income or that overpayment. And that's all I really had outside of a lot of questions, maybe. Questions?
Any questions?
Okay. Well, I hope you realize that, our fraud unit really is going forth and pursuing and trying to get these. Fraud does exist. When we hear about it, when someone calls us or we find a match, we really dig into that information. Thank you.
Jenny, I have a couple questions. Right now, the federal government has frozen the funds to New York State.
Yep.
So how has New York State transmitted that to you as far as payment for the services that are being rendered in the period of time that there's no funds available?
Continue uninterrupted.
That's
That
all
was
they've
the
said
message
is
today.
just continue uninterrupted, but there's been no transmission of how
No.
they intend to pay for this, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
I wanted to be clear. And they have not done anything to relieve the mandate of any of those programs, correct?
Oh, no. It'll probably increase what we'll have to be reporting. The email I had today from OCFS indicated continue as is. It was around the child care program. But that again, the federal government rejected the data that was sent. So I don't know what piece of data is missing or pieces to the federal government in order to secure that, those payments to come into New York State.
Yep.
So
I just wanted to be
there's a lot
clear.
of laws around New York State law.
Yep.
And, not just our regulations, but laws that say you must provide these services.
Mhm.
So we can't stop, and that could be onto the local government to help fund it until the federal money comes in. So just be aware of that. Those are big numbers.
That's what I want to make clear is that we are providing services and we do not have clarity of how they're going to get paid for, but we must provide them.
Right. And I'm sure, the lawsuits will be continuing with holds. And it through this last year, I think we've really seen with these lawsuits, if the money was already allocated by Congress, they're kind of saying you have to continue your allocation. You can change it in your next budget round. But I don't know what the data is. I'm not privy to that. That's missing. I know we do a lot of reporting, so hopefully they can figure that out and get what they need.
Thanks, Jenny. Next presentation, Human Services Committee Goals. Tim Hunt, County Manager.
Okay, human services goals, the same considerations. I shortened it up a little bit so you don't want to hear it over and over. Continued focus on FTEs, continued focus on the total number of equipment that we have in the system. Revenue will be relatively flat. And as Jenny just said, we've got some issues and some concerns with both the federal and state government and the funding streams that are coming. So we're trying to be very conservative when we're looking at spending for 2026 going forward. So the overreaching theme is housing security, prevention, and cost avoidance. And this was all of our human services team got together and came up with a goal together. By December 31st, 2026, Lewis County will increase the percentage of residents who report feeling housing secure from 83.1% to 88%. And this is based off the 2025 Community Health Survey. So that's the overreaching conversation. The question is, how do you do that? And there's a couple, and there's a lot more ideas, but I think it's a great opportunity for this committee to work with the Human Services Group to come up with specifics. But here's a few: legislator participation in Bridges Out of Poverty training and/or poverty simulation, appoint legislators to key housing-related committees, and highlight the Lewis County workforce development to enhance future opportunities. It was discussed with the opportunities with Micron and the expansion of Chobani. What are we doing to get a workforce ready for that? And the workplace in Jenny's office is actually doing a lot of that already and working with BOCES. And I think that might be an opportunity for us to highlight some of the work that's going on and maybe enhance it. So those were three specifics that I wanted to bring out and recommend that the committee work with the Human Services Group to flush out more. What do you think? Thoughts, comments?
Any comments?
Well, I think that would be a great presentation. We'll get Lisa in here next, and she can kind of go through it. And we do have some good data about who's coming into it, who's going out of it. I get weekly updates from her, number of people applying for unemployment, things like that. So I think she could provide a really good insight into how that works. That seem reasonable? Okay.
I did the Bridges Out of Poverty training, and I got a lot out of that. I think that's a really great program. And the more support we can show that, I think that's great.
Excellent.
They did a cohort up in Harrisville, which Tom and I went to the graduation. I thought it was really cool.
Mhm.
The community members got a lot out of it. So
Great.
I think that's it.
All right. Thank you.
You're excused.
All right. Take care.
We now move on to draft resolutions and motions. Cassandra.
Draft resolution number 1, appointing Caitlin Lawler of Watertown, New York to the Lewis County Community Services Board and the Substance Use Disorder Subcommittee for a 4-year term effective February 4th, 2026 through December 31st, 2029.
I move draft resolution number 1 to be forwarded to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Mike? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion adopted.
Draft resolution number 2, appointing Dr. Shirley Tuttle Malone of Glenfield, New York to the Lewis County Community Services Board to fulfill the unexpired term of Dr. John Watt through December 31st, 2028, and to the Developmental Disability Subcommittee to fulfill the unexpired term of Louise Fox through December 31st, 2027.
I move draft resolution number 2 to be forwarded to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Herb? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion adopted.
Draft resolution number 3, appointing Kirsten Leindecker of Casterland, New York, to the Lewis County Community Services Board Developmental Disability Subcommittee for a 4-year term effective February 4th through December 31st, 2029.
I move draft resolution number 3 to be forwarded to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Mike? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion adopted.
Draft resolution number 4, appointing Tina Nortz of Glenfield, New York, to the Lewis County Community Services Board Developmental Disability Subcommittee for a 4-year term effective February 4th, 2026 through December 31st, 2029.
I move draft resolution number 4 to be forwarded to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Barry? Any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion adopted.
Draft resolution number 5, reappointing Lindsay Allen of Lowell, New York, to the Lewis County Community Services Board for a 4-year term effective February 4th, 2026 through December 31st, 2029.
I move draft resolution number 5 to be forwarded to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Herb? Any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion adopted.
Draft resolution number 6, authorizing the use of Community Support Program reserve funds received from the New York State Office of Mental Health in 2019 and 2020 to finance facility improvements at 7714 Number 3 Road, transferring $25,000 from the Community Services Reserve to the Building and Grounds Department for related project costs.
I move draft resolution number 6 to be forwarded to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Herb? Been moved and seconded? The Mountain View. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion adopted.
Draft resolution number 7, authorizing an agreement for Children's Home of Jefferson County to use half of the 7714 Number 3 Road building for counseling and therapy services for Lewis County residents at a cost of $2,403 per month from March 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2027.
I move draft resolution number 7 to be forwarded for the full board for action. Do I have a second? Barry? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
How do you come up with a number? Monthly? Square footage?
There's basically, Community Services works with the Maintenance Department to go over what the costs and expenses are. And it's divvied up among the tenants who are using there.
Thanks.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion adopted.
Draft resolution number 8, appointing Sheila Callahan of Port Lyden, New York as the District Number 10 representative to the Lewis County Office for Aging Advisory Council for a 3-year term effective February 4th, 2026 through December 31st, 2028.
I move draft resolution number 8 to be forwarded to the full board for action. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Herb? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion adopted.
Draft resolution number 9, appointing Barbara Carroll of Copenhagen, New York as the District Number 3 representative to the Lewis County Office for Aging Advisory Council for a 3-year term effective February 4th, 2026 through December 31st, 2028.
I move that draft resolution number 9 be forwarded to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Barry? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion adopted.
Draft resolution number 10, authorizing amendments to preschool special education provider agreements to update pay rates for various services such as therapy, nursing, interpretation, effective March 1st, 2026.
I move that draft resolution number 10 be forwarded to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Barry? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
What's the updates going to be? Is there a percentage on that, or is that just updates?
The rates are in the draft resolution. They've basically been upgraded to, I should probably let Ashley explain it, the difference between the group rate and the individual rate. Or Tim.
There,
Ashley, can you come up to the mic, please? It won't broadcast unless you're.
there's a new pay rate in there called Group of One. We had I'm forgetting the word right now. I don't have my paper in front of me, but there's a single rate if you're seeing one child and a group rate. Thank you. Individual rate. So we created a new Group of One because in a small rural county, schools are required to put on the IEP what best serves the child. So a lot of times a group would best serve the child. So that's on the IEP. However, our numbers are small. So we're continually seeing Group of One, but we're having to reimburse at a group rate. So they're losing money because we're reimbursing them for a group rate when really they're only seeing one child. So this is our way to reimburse them for what they're actually doing. We did also give our speech therapist, physical therapist, and occupational therapist $1 per half hour is the rate for the New York State Education Department raise. They have not received a raise since 2023. So in an effort to retain them, because we do go through periods of provider shortages, we decided to bump them up a little bit. Welcome. Any other questions? Sorry.
Thanks, Ashley.
Welcome.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion adopted.
Draft resolution number 11, authorizing a short-term access testing agreement with a potential long-term lease for Verizon Wireless to use space on the Montague 911 tower for cellular service expansion at $2,200 per month with 5-year renewal terms and rent escalations.
I move the draft resolution number 11 be forwarded to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Herb? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion adopted.
Draft resolution number 12, authorizing an agreement with Correct Tech to implement inmate health integration software for the jail, including installation, maintenance, and training from January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2026 with automatic annual renewals. There is a one-time cost of $49,700 and $1,375 plus additional charges for medication, history, and prescribing services.
I move that draft resolution number 12 be forwarded to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Barry? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I have a question on that. So it says the total one-time upfront cost is $49,700. And then it says there's a annual automatic renewal. Is there a cost to the annual renewal or is it just recurring monthly payments of the 1375.
The automatic renewal would be for the monthly services. And there is a provision to give notice if they want to terminate that, as long as they give, I think, 90 days prior notice.
Any other questions? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion adopted.
Draft resolution number 13, urging the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to immediately restore federal funding for the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, Child Care Development Fund, and Social Services Block Grant programs, as these programs provide essential support for child care, welfare services, and safety net programs. And by withholding funds, it destabilizes services for eligible families, increases fiscal pressure on counties, and shifts costs to local taxpayers.
I move that draft resolution be forwarded to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Mike? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion adopted.
Draft resolution number 14, appointing Sarah Richardson of Copenhagen Central School to the Lewis County Youth Bureau Advisory Board effective February 4th, 2026 until high school graduation.
I move that draft resolution number 14 be forwarded to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Herb? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion adopted.
Draft resolution number 15, appointing Sophie Dealing of Copenhagen Central School to the Lewis County Youth Bureau Advisory Board effective February 4th, 2026 until high school graduation.
I move that draft resolution number 15 be forwarded to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Barry? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. No unfinished business. Is there any new business for the committee? No executive sessions. I move that we adjourn the meeting. Do I have a second? Herb? All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
the Rules and Finance Committee meeting to order. Cassandra, can we do the roll call?
Legislator Mosier?
Here.
Legislator Nellenbach?
Here.
Legislator Frost?
Here.
Legislator Osborne?
Here.
Legislator Leindecker?
Here.
And Legislator Dahlhoff.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. I move to approve the committee minutes from our last meeting. And that was November 18th of 2025. Do I have a second? Okay, Tom, any discussion? Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the committee minutes from November 18th of 2025 be approved and moved to the full board. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion is adopted. And then so I believe we are on to presentations. So I am going to invite County Manager Tim Hunt forward to talk about our goals.
All right, 2026 goals for finance and rules. Same disclaimer, won't go into detail on that. Carried forward from 2025 was the goal of a commerce park, working with Naturally Lewis to do that. So I moved that one forward because I know that's a desire that everybody has. So that is carryover. And then 2026 goals. Technology investment for workforce optimization, that came back through the survey as it's very popular. We have been doing that on a regular basis. That is going to be an emphasis to kind of constantly be looking at what we can do to help the workforce become a little bit more efficient. Comprehensive exempt policy review and grade revalidation. As you guys know, both the exempt group of employees and the CSEA are up for their contracts this year. So we'll be piling into that. And modernizing local government operations and access, and I'll kind of go into that a little bit more in detail, but that is a large goal. And then securing capital and launching a county land bank to try to get that off the ground here fairly quickly. And weekly video and engagement launch. So that was one of the department heads' requests, is kind of a weekly video series, just highlighting different departments, different department heads, as well as we're already doing the podcast. We're doing the newsletters to the towns and villages. So just another layer of engagement with everyone. So any questions on any of these? And update the county standing rules. That was also one of the ones that was requested by the legislators. So that is the list that I have. Before I move on, is there any questions, comments? No, everybody's good with those? All right, we'll flush those out with timelines and action steps, and we'll get them back to you. On the one, modernizing local government and operations, I kind of want to show you a little bit in detail. One of the things that I did is when I was in the private sector, I had a report card that every year, at the end of the year, you would kind of go through and look to see how your business is doing. How's your debt ratio? What's going on? And so I kind of modified that for government. And we looked at governance and strategic planning, public communications and outreach, operations and service delivery, financial management and budgeting. Are we doing all those things that we should be doing? Are we sharing things appropriate with the public? Are we engaging the public? Those types of things. It's a pretty extensive list. We have staff management and legislator communication engagement. So those are kind of the six big areas. We have an internal strategic core group that has been meeting. We met this morning and have gone through this list, or starting to go through this list, and saying, yes, we're doing that. No, we're not doing that well. That's something we should think about. So that's our review process. As we do that, we're going to be developing a whole list of things for 2026 that would be considered our internal goals, to making sure that we're doing everything possible to be efficient with our operations internally. So that's a little bit about how we're going to go about that, is that. And then some internal goals, just to give you an idea, we'll be getting these all out to you, is training, board member training, legislator training, and department head training. Department heads, we're talking about quarterly training for all of our department heads on different internal processes. Policy updates, outside board appointment policy, update the county policies, and manage through NeoGov. Now that we have the NeoGov system in place, we can actually track all of our policies. So when they get changed, when were they changed and why? And then obviously the compensation thing that we talked about, both the exempt and the CSE 8 negotiations are going to be big this year. So we're going to flush all of those internal goals out using this process right here, and I'll provide those to you once we have them all done. But that's just going to come under the heading of modernizing local government operations and access. I didn't want to, bury you guys into the weeds on all of that, but I wanted to show you what we're up to. So, all right. Any questions?
Thank you, Tim. So we will now move on to draft resolutions and motions. Cassandra?
Draft resolution number 1, appointing Joanne Witt, Executive Director of Naturally Lewis, to serve as Lewis County's representative on the Adirondack North Country Association Board for a 2-year term effective February 4th, 2026 through December 31st, 2027.
I move that draft resolution number 1 be forwarded to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Herb? It has been moved and seconded that draft resolution number 1 be forwarded to the full board for action. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The motion is adopted.
Draft resolution number 2, appointing Richard Chartrand of Lowell, New York as a Republican representative to the Lewis County Ethics Board for a 2-year term effective February 4th, 2026 through December 31st, 2028.
I will move that draft resolution number 2 be moved to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Tom? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay. Carried.
Draft resolution number 3, adopting the updated hazard mitigation plan to reduce long-term risks from natural hazards and disasters.
I will move that draft resolution number 3 be forwarded to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Jeff? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried.
Draft resolution 4, authorizing an agreement with Adirondack Techs to complete broadband infrastructure in the town of Diana using New York State DEC Smart Growth Grant Funds.
I move that draft resolution number 4 be forwarded to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Herb? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Moved.
Draft resolution number 5, appointing Ashley Waite, Amanda Waugh, and Mark Waterhouse to the Lewis County Fair Housing Task Force, replacing Jalen Heems, Kevin McCardle, and Tammy Lambert to support fair housing education, enforcement, and equal housing opportunities within Lewis County.
I move that draft resolution number 5 be forwarded to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Tom? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried.
Draft resolution number 6, establishing and appointing members to the Lewis County Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee to guide the plan update process.
I move that draft resolution number 6 be forwarded to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Barry? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Carried.
Draft resolution number 7, adopting New York State Department of Ag and Markets new seeker short environmental quality assessment form for agricultural district actions and authorizing a memorandum of agreement for coordinated review.
I am moving that draft resolution number 7 be forwarded to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Jeff, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried.
Draft resolution number 8, setting public hearing for March 3rd, 2026 to consider adding 3 parcels to agricultural district number 6.
I move that draft resolution number 8 be forwarded to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Tom, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried.
Draft resolution number 9, designating planning director as certifying officer for CDBG housing rehab projects and authorizing agreements with Snowbelt Housing Company.
I move that draft resolution number 9 be forwarded to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Herb? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried.
Draft resolution number 10, designating planning director as certifying officer for CDBG planning grant and declaring project as type 2 under SECRA.
I'll move number 10 to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Herb, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Moved.
Draft resolution number 11, authorizing the planning department to submit an application for up to $500,000 under the New York State DOS Local Government Efficiency Grant Program for roadway and water infrastructure improvements.
I'll move number 11 be forwarded to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Tom, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Moved.
Draft resolution number 12, authorizing submission of application for up to $500,000 under the Empire State Development County Infrastructure Program for Village of Port Lyden improvements.
I'll move number 12 to be forwarded to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Jeff, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Draft resolution number 13, authorizing application for up to $3 million under NBRC Catalyst Program for roadway and complete streets projects in the Village of Port Lyden.
I'll move number 13 be moved to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Jeff, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried.
Draft resolution number 14, authorizing planning department to submit applications for transportation alternatives program funding for complete streets projects.
I'll move number 14 be moved to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Tom, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Draft resolution number 15, authorizing amendments to IMA with Town of New Bremen to include reimbursement for emergency bridge repair costs from 2024 flooding.
I'll move number 15 be moved to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Herb, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried.
Draft resolution number 16, establishing the standard workdays for specified elected and appointed officials for Lewis County and authorizes reporting of days worked to the New York State and local employees retirement system based on submitted activity records.
I'll move number 16 be forwarded to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Jeff, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Okay, we do not have any unfinished business, but we. New business, right? Yes, we don't have any unfinished business, but we do have one item of new business. And I'm going to invite Cassandra Buell forward. She is the Director of Planning and Community Development for a presentation on facade and streetscape improvement program review.
Thank you for letting me wrap this up. I didn't get into the presentations, but we still have time before our meeting even starts, really. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to review the facade and streetscape improvement program because we are using up the very last of all of the appropriated funds. I thought that this would be a good opportunity to recap the program and some of the successes that it's had. So as some of you were on the original board when we were trying to utilize a lot of the ARPA funds that were sent to the county, we wanted to be very strategic about that. And luckily, there was a group of us, Naturally Lewis, myself, county manager, and some of the other departments in the county were already meeting to discuss ways to carry out a lot of the action items in our comprehensive plan. So when COVID came about and the ARPA funds came about, we already had an action list ready to roll. So we were able to act on a lot of things like broadband, childcare support, and facade improvements, workforce development opportunities as the ARPA funds were approved, and we were working through the process of accepting them. So my job or our mission in the county planning department is to carry out the comprehensive plan. That is our our rubric, if you will. We try to carry out all of the policy areas and all of the action items identified in that plan. And one of those action items was to continue to support facade improvement programs so commercial building owners can receive matching grants for renovations consistent with context-sensitive design guidelines. And as you all know, we worked really hard to utilize New York Main Street grant funding to develop our own custom Lewis County downtown design guide to ensure that our downtowns are preserved and look like they did 100 years ago. We really want to make sure that we preserve our history there. So we have implemented that alongside in 2021, the launch of this program. So the program, long story short, provides up to 75% of the cost for eligible improvements to mixed use and commercial buildings and streetscape enhancements. So there's twofold. The mixed use and commercial are just for privately owned buildings, businesses. The streetscape is only open to municipalities who want to do like streetscape improvement projects, benches, kiosks, really to improve that walkability. And caveat is projects must be completed within 12 months. We want to make sure that there is a really strict churn of these funds and the benefits that are seen by our communities. So my office, Megan Krakowski, has done a really great job. She's seen this through its infancy. She manages it on a daily basis. She follows up with all the applicants, all of the awardees to make sure that they're staying true to the agreements that we work with Joan to create. And so the original, just a breakdown of all the funding, we used $450,000 of the initial ARPA funds. And then in 2023, the legislators approved $250 in the 2024 budget. So something that we started off thinking we'd only be able to get a couple rounds in, we were able to deobligate some of those funds. Maybe there was leftover funds from some awards. We were able to recycle those back into the program and really extend the program, just as Naturally Lewis has done with the vacant property revitalization funds. So round one, back in the day, which was 2021, we awarded $248,000 to 17 projects from the hamlet of Harrisville all the way to the village of Port Leyden. We received 34 applications. That just goes to show that first round of funding, we were in dire need and our businesses were in dire need of some of that help and support. The total amount requested was $587,000. Of course, we had less than half of that available. Projects ranged from full facade repair restoration to ADA accessibility. Examples of that are Good Old Wishies. They received funding to replace their commercial windows because they were cracked. They were breaking, along with the paint to the facade and the window replacements, all the way to the smaller projects, which are ADA accessibility, and the post office in Port Leyden was able to get funding for that. After all was said and done, 16 out of the 17 projects were completed. There was a project in the village of Port Leyden, which we would have loved to see happen, did not follow through with the requirements of the grant. We offered a grant extension, but he could not make the grant work. So we were able to deobligate and recycle back $20,433 of those the original awarded funds. Round two, we awarded $200,000 to 10 projects from the hamlet of Harrisville all the way to the hamlet of West Leyden. The total applications received were 29, and the total amount requested was over $1 million. So we knew that there was still the need out there. The projects ranged from, again, full facade repair restoration to municipal park improvements. You may have noticed, driving through the hamlet of West Leyden, they were able to put up a really nice flagpole, make a little pocket park with the funding, and add some benches so that you can enjoy the water that goes right by the park. So round two, 10 out of the 10 projects were completed. I will say that as a caveat, we were able to deobligate some of the awarded funds because one project, while it was completed, they did not follow the strict requirements of the grant that Megan makes sure that they uphold. So we did not reimburse them for that project because they did not comply with the grant requirements. So we were able to deobligate $80,000 from that round into the next round. So in round three, we awarded $200,000 to 8 projects ranging from the hamlet of Harrisville to the village of Turin, again, showcasing that we're trying to hit all portions of the county from north to south. The total applications received, I must have not filled that in. I believe that there was 8 in that round. Total amount requested was $420,000. Projects ranged from full facade repair restoration to volunteer fire department signage in the downtown corridor. 6 out of those 8 projects were completed. 1 awardee found other funding to cover the project. So when it was time to award the project, they gracefully bowed out and said, "Thank you. We appreciate this. We have found another means," which is great. That's perfect. And then another awardee did not complete the project. So we were able to deobligate another $26,000 from that pot of awarded funds. And I'm sorry, I'm not highlighting these wonderful images that we have here. You can see that the National Abstract Building, it's next to the Naturally Lewis Building in downtown Lowell. That is what's pictured here. That received funding from this program in the first round, and they have actually received awards for the design and the implementation of this project. So just another highlight for the investment. This was a round 2 project at the Village Inn. I will say that Harrisville is our shining star. We've pretty much, with the coordinated efforts of the community, working with each business to submit applications for these funds, much of that downtown corridor has been completely transformed. If you walk through it now compared to what it was in 2020, it's unrecognizable. And a lot of the business owners, I mean, they would never be able to do this without your help and without a lot of the design guidance that came from the help of our Lewis County Historical Society that was helping to make sure that all of the materials and the designs were true to the history of Lewis County. So I do want to commend them for the help in that. And then, of course, this is the business right up the street from here, Elements, which is a complete transformation from what it did look like before. So just another great project to see turned around so quickly. I wish I had a better picture of John's Auto Repair before and after, because I mean, that dang pole is right in the middle of the picture. But that John's Auto Repair is in downtown Port Leyden. I don't know if any of you have seen what it was before, but they emulated almost the exact rendering that our architects from Insight Architects and Design did for our downtown design guide, and it looks awesome. I mean, they historically accurate to T. They were able to replace that commercial door, the commercial windows. It looks like a completely different property. So Port Leyden is definitely reeling some benefits from the funding as well. Round 4, we awarded $174,000 to 4 projects from the hamlet of Harrisville to the village of Port Leyden. Total applications received were 11, and the total amount requested was $933,000. Projects ranged from a full facade repair restoration, as you see here, John's Auto and Repair, to commercial signage. That commercial signage, I believe, was in the hamlet of Harrisville for an existing diner that definitely needed that, being on the main corridor. So 3 out of the 4 projects were completed. 1 awardee did not complete the projects. So we were able to deobligate. I mean, the $100,000 was not the awarded amount to that project. That was in addition to some other money saved on other projects, but we were able to deobligate and award funds. So that's how we were able to do a 5th round. So the committee met last week, and the committee, again, is made up of the Historical Society, a legislator, codes, because we don't want to award project funds to anything that's not compliant with the codes or the zoning. And then, of course, Megan and I help assist along with Naturally Lewis. Naturally Lewis has been a great partner in all of this. They've been helping with this, and we work alongside them to carry out this program and the vacant property revitalization program. So it's a really great partner effort there. The 6 applications was over $3 million of project cost, and the facade and streetscape improvement requests total just over $450,000. Projects range from ADA accessibility to facade restorations of vacant downtown buildings. There were this round no streetscape, i.e. municipal projects that were received. And the committee met last week again to review applications and deliberate possible awards. So at this phase, Megan is working really hard to follow up on a lot of the committee's questions to the awardees And we hope to make those awards in February. So this is a rendering of one of the submitted projects, which again, if you can imagine, this particular project is in downtown Copenhagen. If you can imagine that property looking as good as it does in a rendering, it's very exciting for the community. And I know that Copenhagen has reached out to us numerous times in help of connecting their businesses with this type of funding. So we are thankful for all of the opportunity that you've given us on this program. As I've noted, we're using up the last of the funds. So we just wanted to solidify that in resolution that this is the end of it. If, of course, you'll have the option to carry it on if you deem fit. But I thought that this was probably a really good opportunity to recap all of the projects and rounds that we've worked hard on. Are there any questions on this program? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Cassandra.
Okay, we have a draft resolution to go along with that. It is draft resolution number 17, affirming continued support for the facade and streetscape improvement program and acknowledging use of rolled over budgeted and ARPA funds through round 5.
I move that draft resolution number 17 be forwarded to the full board for action. Do I have a second? Jeff, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion is carried. Okay, that's all of the new business. We don't have an executive session, so I will make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Herb, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.